All right. Welcome to Jags Talk Plus episode 5. Uh, I am Shannon. I am going to do what I do each and every episode here, which is I'm going to talk primarily about the Jags and obviously the frustrating start, but also about where we can go. There's a few things I want to look at today. I hope if you're joining me and you have a question that you can submit it through the chat and I'll answer it live when it populates on there. And so I will um, definitely, uh, sorry, my screen just messed up here. But again, looks like it just did a glitch here. So I'm sorry if that did that and did that to you on your screen. Some didn't seem like it did do it. So I'm going to go ahead and just restart as if I did. Welcome to Jags Talk Plus. My name is Shannon. I'm going to do what I do each and every episode, which is I'm going to talk primarily about the Jags. I'll answer some questions that you may have regarding your team or anything about the Jags. You can put it in the chat or you can comment it as you watch this later on, and I will go back through and answer that accordingly. Um, but yeah, so we're going to look ahead to the Jags Bills game up in Buffalo on this Monday night football game coming up, week 3 of the 2024 NFL season. And so, a few things I want to address today. I want to talk about play calling. I've been getting some responses and some concerns that people have had about play calling. And I really want to just kind of set my opinions on that. Then we'll talk about expectations specifically for the offense and defense for the game. I'll give my prediction is what I think is going to happen in the game, and then I'll give my final thoughts. But that's kind of the outline of what we're going to work through tonight as we work through this episode number 5. So thanks for joining us, and if you're going to look and view this later on, thanks for being a part of Jags Talk Plus. Please hit the like button and comment accordingly. That with some questions that you might have, I'd love to let that be elements of the content that is delivered here at Jags Talk Plus. Here's one thing that has it's really kind of been an ongoing theme since really last year. And it's kind of, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of played out, but I get it. So before you rush to judgment and say that I don't know what I'm talking about, let me give you the full facts around my thoughts on play calling. I think that this is way overblown. My opinion is that it's so quick and easy to go and blame it on play calling as the primary issue. I think I saw a poll that was given not too long ago, and it was the second leading option of what they thought was the biggest issues for the Jags so far, being 0-2. And I just think it's really just, I feel like sometimes that's just something for fans to grab a hold of because it's easy to kind of pick that and go and use that as a concern. So I want to address that first for tonight's show. I think we have to remember that play calling is absolutely an important aspect of the NFL game and the flow and how it goes, and it absolutely is critical. I'm not saying it's not critical, and I'm not saying that it's not important. It absolutely is. But at some point, these players have to go and execute these plays. You can take so you can take a mediocre team and run a specific play, and then take a talented team, run that same play, and you're going to have different results because the players are better or more gifted and talented in the athleticism that they have. So I want to point out that as much as I do agree, and hear me, I do agree that there has been head scratching play calls, particularly last year, but specifically for this season as well. There definitely has been some play calls where you scratch your head and go, "What are they doing?" But there's so few compared to the bulk of the plays that are being called that are working, or if they didn't work, it's because of maybe a Cam Robinson not blocking and allowing the person to get into the backfield before Trevor can make the play. So there's an execution issue here more than I think there is a problem with play calling. Now, again, I do think that there are some dumb plays or some plays that you would say don't make sense. I think we are about screened out to throwing to the left or right, a screen to Travis or a screen to Kirk or whatever. I'm not the biggest fan of end arounds either, and we did that again. I like it when it works, but I'm not the biggest fan of that. But these screens that we kind of tend to substitute as runs are getting old. I agree. The the safety that we took at the end of the Cleveland game there, why would you call a play on the goal line, on the half-yard line, 1 yard line? Why would you call a play that takes a while to develop and you're having to trust your offensive line to block, which at this point they have not done a good job against that defensive line of Cleveland Browns on the goal line in a very critical part of the game, but a critical place on the field? Why would you call a long developing play to take place? I did not agree with that play. I did not agree with that to take place. However, if you watch the film and if Cam Robinson and a couple other people decide to actually hold their blocks a little bit longer, Brian Thomas Jr. is open for what could possibly be a very long game. However, the play didn't work because Trevor got sacked. It was a safety. And so therefore the play was not a good play. It doesn't mean that that play wasn't the right play or a play that's not going to work. But I think the timing to call that play was not wise in that moment when we have an offensive line that has not shown that it could block on a regular basis, but let alone when you're in a critical place of the field in your own end zone and it's going to be long developing play. So I did not agree with that play call. There are other times why we decide in the Miami game to go and run on 4th and 1 and toss a sweep out to the left, pitch it out to Travis Etienne, 8 yards behind line of scrimmage to go and get that 1 yard. I agree. That's a play call. Just line up I formation and just run right ahead for that 1 yard or quarterback sneak if you're going to go for it. Or there have been head scratching plays that have been called. There are plays on the field that are probably not the best decision to do at that time. But it comes down to these players executing these plays. For instance, I just told you I did not like that play on the goal line at the end of the Cleveland Brown game where Trevor took that sack. However, if they actually did block and Trevor hits that for a big gain, you can see then, okay, I probably would not want to do that play down there in that area. But if the play works and they execute it, then it may very well be a very wise play to call at that time because they're probably not expecting that. So it comes down to these players executing these plays. Again, yes, I get it that there are some play calls that are head scratching, but that is not why we're 0-2. We're 0-2 because we turned the ball over and we have not created turnovers. We are 0-2 because our offensive line has failed to give adequate protection for Trevor. We're 0-2 because Trevor has not lifted the team and carried him to the victory and what we expect him to be able to do. We're 0-2 because the defense, who's played primarily really well, could not stop Cleveland from driving down the field for long sustained drives and getting field goals and getting just enough to get ahead of us. So, I get that we have play calling angst, but if they just get better, and execute these plays better, then I don't think I think we're 2-0. I mean, we have very fixable things. Miami Dolphins game, you don't turn the ball over, we probably win that game. I know we can't take it back. I know the turnover happened. I'm just telling you, we were that close. We played that well, and even after that turnover, and then the offensive line failed to not block well. We still had a chance to win that game on multiple occasions, even after that. When we played against Cleveland Browns last week, we played like trash for most of the first half, and we still had a chance to win that game. So even after as bad as we played, we still had a chance to win that game, even in that. And so if you clean these things up and you go out and play some just fundamental football and make the blocks you're like, make the tackles you're supposed to make, just play fundamental football, we're probably 2-0, and we're talking about a team that has not particularly played well, but you are 2-0. Think about what this team could be if they start playing well, right? That's probably what the narrative would be. So, again, as much as I think play calling, there's head-scratching plays during a game that I'm like, why would you do that? Yes, but it's not primarily the issue of why we're 0-2. We gotta make the plays that we have there in place. Trevor's got to make the throws. He's got to stop holding the ball so long, taking the sack. The offensive line's got to be able to give Trevor time to be able to find the people he needs to find to throw the ball down there. The defense has done pretty well, but they need to get him off the field instead of having a personal foul that gives them a first down or a PI that gives them a first down. And they got to create some turnovers. We don't have any at all this year. Come close, but we don't have any. So, I think we look at it from that perspective, and we should be able to understand that, hey, these things are fixable. They are fixable things. We don't have, God forbid, a Trevor Lawrence tearing the ACL and going down for a year, which is not fixable, or a critical other skill position player on offense who has been gone for the year or anything. These aren't those types of issues that are not fixable. These are execution. These are knowing your assignments, holding your blocks, doing these types of things. These are fixable things that I think if they could just rally behind that. And why, I guess the bigger argument would be, why are they not doing that? So yeah, you could point a finger at coaching for that or whatever. That's the frustrating thing for me, is like, these guys have been together for a while, and they should understand and know these types of things. I know there's some moving pieces that have come in each and every year, but these are some things you would think they'd already have down, but they don't. So fix them, get them fixed, and then I think you start seeing not only a better product on the field, but a team that starts playing better and hopefully gets back into the win column here and begins to stack some of these together to be able to kind of right the ship from this ugly start. So really, just a couple plays are the reason of why we're 0-2 and not 2-0. All right. So, and it comes down to, again, us protecting the ball, taking the ball over, and playing just good fundamental football, and stop beating ourselves. That's really the key. Now, what are my expectations? What are my expectations for the offense on Monday night against the Buffalo Bills? I mean, my expectations are they actually play fundamental football and they look like a football team that's organized. That's such a low bar right now, but can we start there? In the Cleveland game, they couldn't get the play calls in time. They had to take timeouts to keep from getting a penalty on the field for a time clock violation. Can we run an efficient offense that looks like it knows what it's doing? Can we start there? All right. If we can start there, I think we start seeing the team do better. My expectation for the offense is that it gets better. My expectation is they begin to block a little bit better this week. I believe Trevor has a little bit more time and is able to find some receivers. My expectation is that Brian Thomas Jr. Has a pretty strong game. This Buffalo Bills defense is nothing to joke about. Their defensive line with Von Miller now, who obviously he's been in the league for a while. He's an older guy, but he's recovered. All reports are he's recovered from his ACL. He's been removed from that enough now that he's almost looking like the Von Miller of the old, in the sense of his ability to be able to harass and get around the quarterback. Their defensive line is strong to be able to put pressure. It's going to be a tall order for our offensive line, which up to this point has been subpar, to actually play just play average good football, if they can do that. So my expectation is the offense looks better. My expectation is that it runs more efficient. My expectation is that it begins to look a little bit more like we'd want it to look. All right. I think that we got some areas on the back in the backfield on the deep Buffalo Bills to be able to maybe expose some things, but it's going to require giving Trevor some time, and it's going to require us running the ball to set up the pass. But I expect it to be more efficient, and I expect us to actually play, like we know what we're doing out there. So my expectation is that the offense begins to flourish a little bit more than it has, and we go forward. Because if you think about it, the Miami Dolphins game for 3 quarters, the offense was not the problem. The offense it functioned efficiently. Trevor didn't have to be great as far as throwing for a lot of yards because they ran the ball pretty well, and then he made the throws that he needed to make when they were there. Most of them, minus maybe one errant throw. We had some issues with Christian Kirk with a drop here or there and stuff like that. But overall, the offense looked okay until the fourth quarter when the fumble happened on the goal line there with Travis Etienne in that Miami Dolphins game. And then you go to the Cleveland Browns. We looked atrocious in the first half, and then the second half we began to look like an offense minus the issue there after Trevor scrambled to the where it was 2nd and 7 and goal there, where we ended up having not being able to score a touchdown there, but moving the ball, getting the ball down there, operating as an offense and gaining yards. That had begun to be positive as well. So besides a couple quarters in there, you take that out, the offense has functioned and moved the ball well. We can see that we can be a functioning offense for the Jags can be a functioning offense. So I expect that to be the case now and continue to get better as an offense and start clicking a little bit more and more and more. My defense, the expectation for the Jags defense is that we need to get a takeaway. Josh Allen is playing great. He's a phenomenal quarterback, but he'll also turn the ball over. We need to get a little pressure on him and see if we can't force him into throwing a pick, and then try to see if we can't flip the field on him. But our defense has to stop the run. Buffalo Bills have now moved to where they're running the ball a lot more than they have. And James Cook is one heck of a running back, and we got to be able to slow that down. If we can slow that down, then we might be able to dictate a little bit more of what the Bills might do offensively, and then from that, maybe we can get a little pressure on Josh Allen. This is a big game for Josh Hines Allen and for Trayvon Walker. For Trayvon Walker, I want them to start to get to where they just take over a game. And I'd love on a prime time Monday night game against the Bills, who we've traditionally done pretty well against. I don't hold any stock into how we've done against them in the past. They're still a very dangerous team. And this is going to be a very difficult game for us to get. And it's in Buffalo where it's going to be rowdy. However, our Jags team has risen to the occasion before when their backs have been against the wall, as Josh Hines Allen said earlier in his interview. So I think that I do think we see a defense that comes out that's hungry. But it's going to come down to us being able to force a turnover with Josh Allen or two. So my expectations is that the offense will come out and function like an offense should. They have sure they put extra effort into trying to make sure that they don't have any of those issues going forward in this game. So I expect that to be something that looks better. I expect us to be able to run the ball good enough to be able to see if we can't take some shots and hit Brian Thomas Jr. down the field, since he's shown that he can get behind the defenses. And so let's see if we can't expose that and see what kind of player he really can be by feeding him the ball a little bit. And I get our offense is built around the ball goes to who's open. I get that. But Brian Thomas Jr. has been open quite a few times when you watch his tape. Even when they were 2nd-7 there on when Trevor made that scramble and got within the couple yard line there, scoring in the end zone. It was like 2nd-7. There was a slant there where Brian Thomas Jr. would have been open had Trevor been able to have the opportunity to get it to him. So I do think that sure, we don't want to probably just force it to him on a regular basis, but we definitely need to take calculated shots towards Brian Thomas Jr. and then hopefully that'll work other things up. I don't know. It's unclear if Evan Ingram is going to play. That'll be another loss, but I think Brenton Strange stepped in admirably for Evan when he needed to. So I think that Brenton Strange, if needed to be, would be able to do that again and step in and at least fill somewhat of that void. He's not going to be Evan Ingram, but he is a good blocker and he has shown that he can get open and catch the ball. So we lose something from Evan being out, but I think it's manageable with what. And then also, if Evan isn't going to go, Brenton would have a full week of also playing and game planning with him being used in there without a game time decision like they did last week, which is always difficult to take somebody and throw them right on in, 90 minutes before the game or an hour before the game or what have you. So Offense looks better. I expect them to look better, do well. I expect them to score some points, and I expect our defense to play a good game as well. However, I will say I don't think it's enough. I think we leave Buffalo having played a really really good game. Looked better all the way around. The eye test passed and everything, but I think because it's the home game there in Buffalo, we come out of there with another loss, setting up a dramatic game in Houston the following week, which is going to be a very very important game, especially if we do lose this one against the Bills, which I kind of believe we will. I think we'll just be a little too late, but that all could change with a turnover or two. If we get a couple turnovers, then I'm feeling even better about it. But with way things are looking now, I think we go in there, play a good game, we look better overall, but we lose. So that's my kind of expectations for what I think the offense and defense are going to look like. Let's see if it holds true. I hope it does. The one expectation that I hope that I am wrong on is the game prediction. I hope the Jags obviously go in there and win, but I want to be real. Especially from what I've seen from them. Until they start showing me, I'll start picking them. But until that happens, I'm going to go the opposite direction because right now I haven't seen it, and so that's what I'll do. Um, I want to give my final thoughts here, and really just to calm all of our Jags fans' nerves, I guess, a little bit. It's not over. Like it's 0-2. We could very well be 2-0. We could be sitting here now with me talking to you saying the Jags have not looked good at all, but yet they're 2-0. I mean, these games that we've lost, we should have won. Just there's no way around it. We should have won. We didn't, so that's where we're at. But having played like we've played and should have won those games, it's totally different than us saying the Jags have played so bad we didn't even have a chance to win those games. We could totally be 2-0 talking about how they need to play better. But it's not over. It's not over. It's way too early to say that this whole season is lost. But it needs to start now. All right. In my opinion, it needs to start now, and it's such a difficult setting for it to start now, which is to go into Buffalo to try to get a win there, and knowing how difficult that's going to be. So it's going to be extremely difficult for us to start now in that situation. But I'm not saying we can't. We're a talented team. We clean up these things. We play without these communication issues and these missed assignments and stay on our blocks and do the things we're supposed to do. If we just do the fundamentals, I think the game is close. And who knows? Maybe we do get that turnover or two that kind of tilts it our way. But yes, it's not over, and it needs to start now. So yeah. So my kind of final thought is I really do. I really think the Jags play well. I really think the Jags go into Buffalo in the hostile crowd. It's going to be loud and rowdy. It's a Monday Night Football primetime game under the lights. Everybody's watching. I know there's another game going, but primarily everybody's watching. And I think the Jags go in there and they play a very tough game. Trevor looks like Trevor should look. The offensive line does a better job. Our defensive line has moments where they shine. And so I think we leave there having the ability as fans to at least say we played well against a very strong team and almost won. As I said earlier, I don't think we win. But can we at least just say, man, the Jags played their heart. They left everything on the field. They played their hearts out. They almost won that game, which means then they played a solid, full, all three phases game here. And if we can at least come away with this, measuring ourselves against the Buffalo Bills and hanging with them and playing really well, that bodes well for us going forward with these fixable things that can be getting fixed. And if they can, then there's nothing to say that we couldn't get on a run after that, to be able to try to claw ourselves out of the hole that we dug ourselves into. So that is my kind of final thoughts for the game on Monday night. If you have any questions or opinions or anything that you'd like to submit, please, as you watch this video, comment it, and then as I go back through, I'd love to be able to answer those for you and give my opinions on them. Again, hey, thank you so much for viewing this and checking it out. Don't forget to hit the like button, and I appreciate your support. Again, this is just something I love doing. I enjoy it. It gives me an out. It gives me something that I can talk about, especially when I'm frustrated over the Jags. It gives me a chance to be able to audibly just talk about it. But I also want to make sure that I've always presented myself with within a reality of understanding why the team is where it's at as much as possible, and seeing that it really is just a matter of inches on a few different things that's kept us from being able to be efficient as a football team. So let's fix these fixable things. I think we see a solid showing on Monday night, and I think it bodes well for us going forward. But let's just hope that we haven't dug ourselves too deep of a hole that we can't get out of, and that we can still salvage the 2024 season. All right. Well, thanks for everybody being here. I appreciate it. Thanks for being a part of Jags Talk Plus. I am Shannon, and I will talk to you later. See you later. Take care.